checking the surf before you go is often a good
Yeah.
way to figure out if you're going to score or just be
Totally.
picking mussels off the beach and cooking them.
Yeah. Yep. Bingo. Back in it. Back in the game. Shane, good to be with
Back
you.
at it again.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
It was fun. Yeah, super low key. Just some family friends and stuff like that here in OB, but surfed a lot. Got some good waves. Surfed the cliffs like I was telling you about. And yeah, I don't know. It just feels good. I was talking to my girlfriend this morning because we were on a walk. And it's just like, it feels good to finally have waves in San Diego again. And like wake up and just not have to look at like a 10-day forecast and just see 2 to 3. Like just going to the beach and like there's big waves and I'm not even surfing just makes me fulfilled. So it's been good. But what about you?
Yeah, I had a great Thanksgiving. I went up to Santa Barbara, surfed Ventura, I surfed Rincon, I surfed Campus Point a couple times. Little loggy waves. I didn't even bring a shortboard with me. I was just kind of was feeling the log lately.
There you go.
I kind of regretted not having it one of the days. It was pretty good down there, but I still had a lot of fun.
Nice.
It's nice to go back and like surf the waves you grew up at.
For sure.
And we got Steve here. So this is Justin. I'm Shane. This is Steve. He's actually not here right now. He's busy working, filling all the Black Friday and Cyber Monday orders, and he couldn't join us on the podcast.
Yeah, I don't know when this is going to air, but we are recording this on Cyber Monday, which is a pretty busy day for the business. So
yeah, I've moved like 100 boxes today. I'm way over 100. I've moved like 200 boxes today. And now we're sitting down at the podcast.
There we go. So it's a nice little breather for you.
Oh, dude, this is so nice.
Nice.
Very, very needed. So today I wanted to talk to you about different camping hacks. I know you have traveled to Oregon a bunch of times. You have gone down to Mexico. You're probably a much more experienced surf camper than I am. I normally I'll go to a place, but I stay at friends' houses or in hotels. And I've done some strike missions to the Central Coast, but yeah. So let's talk about some camping hacks that we've come up with over the years.
Yeah. I mean, as much as I've actually camped and gone on road trips and surf trips and stuff like that, this is still something I'm, like we were talking about earlier, I'm very much working through the kinks. Because I think first and foremost, when you're camping and you're surfing, the most important thing is your rig. And you're either you have a lot of freedom or you have a lot of limitations when it comes to the car. Because most people, when they're talking about road trips or surf trips, they're not going to buy a truck or buy a new car for it. You kind of have to work with what you got.
Yep.
So that depends, right? But I mean, you see the Tacomas and the Tundras, and they're built out, and those are freaking off-road ready. They got the Wi-Fi extender and all that stuff, and you can go super into the weeds. But I mean, me personally, I just have a Subaru Crosstrek, nothing crazy, and I kind of want to focus more on going down to Baja stuff, because I feel I have personally more tips that I could share on that. But I think first and foremost, one of the things I really focus on when I get a new car, or just the most recent new car that I got, is I got the windows tinted, because you're going down to Baja all the time, or I go down to Baja all the time, and I've had snatch and grabs happen where they break your window and freaking steal a wetsuit or something like that. It's the dumbest thing, but windows tinted are always nice. And then also, if you're sleeping in the car, you have a little bit of privacy.
Yep.
A hack that I comes to the top of my head, I don't know how relevant it is, but when I'm sleeping and I have my surfboards on the top, I tie a bunch of knots in it and make it kind of complicated so nobody can just come up and just snag my boards. I don't see it happen very often. I've never heard any horror stories, but it's still something I do before I go to bed. That's a couple. I also when I'm surfing, I have a newer car, so I have my key has a fob, so I can't put it in my wetsuit when I surf because I don't want to ruin the battery on it. So I got this. It's a real estate lockbox that you can get on Amazon for $30. But I got this real estate lockbox, and I put it so nobody can see it, and it's super easy. Go in there, get my key, lock it up. When I'm done surfing, my car is right there. I don't have to worry about it. Those are the initial ones that kind of come off my head. I also wrote an article about this. I have, not to just take over the narrative here, but I have an article I wrote on the Baja, all my Baja adventures, and there's so many little tips and tricks. And most of most of which I've learned just by doing the wrong thing. Like, a couple like funny things that I put in there is I always have a stray case of beer in my car, because I've had my car break down there. I've had my car broken into down there. I've had my car die, and like, Mexicans are nice. I'm Mexican. I fit in down there. They're nice people. But if you're ever in a pinch, it's also, I learned this from snowboarding, my ski trips, but when you have to ask somebody for jumper cables, it's always nice to have a couple beers. Like, hey, can I please borrow your jumper cables? Or can you please tow my car out of this ditch or whatever? But
yeah, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, there you go. Then we're boys.
Oh yeah, I'd help you out. I meuld help you out anyways, but a couple beers after, yeah, for sure.
100%. Yeah. So that's kind of a funny one. I'm trying to think if there's any other like real specific ones. A lot of it comes down to like storage and stuff like that. Like, how do you have everything and this is like, you just have to do it a bunch of times, really. Like, if you're trying to go on a surf trip and you're looking for hacks before you go on your first surf trip or road trip, you're exhausting your efforts. Go freaking do it. Go pack everything you think you'll need, and then get rid of half of it, and then just go. Like, and then you'll learn from your mistakes, because everybody travels differently. Everybody's got their own like comforts and discomforts and things that you need that I don't need, and vice versa. And until you just go do it a couple times, you kind of figure out how to kind of like organize everything, what you need. Then it's kind of one of those things you got to figure out on your own.
I like to hide so I have for Subaru, you can get like a little valet key that doesn't have the fob button stuff, but then your key's still in your car, so I have a really sneaky hiding place. I'm not going to reveal where I hide it.
Sure.
But make sure you hide your keys very well inside your cars. If you're taking one like in your wetsuit, definitely have your regular keys not just in the pocket of your jeans. That's
a good one.
Because they're going to find your jeans, and then they're going to find your key, and your car is going to drive off without you.
Mm-hmm. You said you have like a shower thing that you bring too?
Yeah, I really like, sometimes I just bring it surfing.
Really?
It's a like camping shower that you hang on the side of your car, fill with water, and then the UV light like heats the back of it, because it's all black on one side, clear on the other.
Makes sense.
And it will heat up the water, and you can use that to like rinse off your feet, take a shower when you're all stinky after a couple days of surfing. Like, it's really nice having one of those.
Nice.
I also for like tying down boards, when you were bringing that up, I was like, oh, it would be sick to put like some bells or something like wrapped around it. That way, if somebody like just cuts it and tries to bail, like, there's gonna be bells jingling on top of a surfboard, which is gonna make a ton of noise. Like,
you know, it'd be funny. It's because you see the videos they make on YouTube and stuff where they like bait people into stealing something.
Oh, like glitter bomb ones?
Yeah, something like that. But it'd be funny if you took like your leash and like leashed the board to the car, so even if they stole it and ran off, like, the leash would do its job essentially, and like take the board back. But
that's a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's so much you can do, but I think that's tough. It also depends on where you're going to, because it's like, when I think of like camping and surf travel and stuff like that, I think of the Aussies, and because like every Aussie's got some like what are they're called something. The Toyota Helix or something like that?
Yeah.
The Helix or something?
Yeah, the Hilux is the truck, and then they have, I think it's like a Highlander or something. But yeah they're all like all about the kitted ones.
Yeah, it's like it's like their version of the 4Runner, essentially.
Yes.
But just badass. Like, those things are so rugged. Yeah, I mean, Toyotas is kind of how it goes. Like, I have a 96 4Runner. It's literally the car I got when I got into high school, and it's got 312,000 miles. It's so insane. But...
Top Gear did an episode on trying to kill a Toyota Hilux. They like dropped it off of, like, they put it on, parked it on top of a like 20-story building that was going to be like set for demolition, so it fell the whole way.
Yeah.
They just drove it into the ocean, left it there, let the tide come up, like wash it down the beach a ways, and then using, I think it was just a screwdriver and a hammer, because obviously you could put a car back together, but using that, after they like flushed some stuff and tinkered with it a bit, the car started.
It's insane.
Like, you can't kill these cars.
Yeah.
And I drive a Subaru also, so
Okay.
I'm a big fan of the off-road capabilities, but they don't quite match a Hilux in terms of like unkillability.
It's funny, like, in 30,000 years, there'll be like the pyramids, and then there'll be like the Toyota Helix. The only two standing things left of civilization. But I'm really scratching my brain hard on this because I know there's some pretty good like hacks and tricks and stuff that have served me well, but I'm struggling to bring them to the tip of my mind here.
I've got a few. A LifeStraw is really nice to bring down. It's just a portable water filter. If shit hits the fan, car's broken down, you can drink out of, not the nastiest streams, but
pretty close.
Yeah, you can just stagnant water, any fresh water you have, even if it's something that you couldn't just boil off, like it's clearly whatever.
Like a puddle in the road.
LifeStraws are great. I always have one in my car. First aid kit, bee sting and bite kit. I'm not allergic, but if you're down there with somebody who is, it might save their life.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I like having that stuff. Always bring fishing rods. I know you're a fisherman too.
Yeah.
Fishing rods are great to bring camping because you can catch your own food. You can, the surf sucks. You can kind of kill some time, so you're not just sitting there.
Yeah. I got an addition to that.
Okay.
Sun cure. I've not brought this, and I have bit myself in the ass for it. It's the worst thing that could happen. You finally get to where you're going. You're far away from everyone. You ding your board. Then what are we even here for?
Yeah.
But so I'd say sun cure.
Just shove some wax in it.
True. Yeah, I've seen people do that.
That is a joke. Do not shove wax in your dings.
Never mind. I've heard people do that though.
I've done it, but ding repair guys hate this one simple trick.
Do that?
Yeah, because then they try to like sand it out and it gets all over the sandpaper, and they're not stoked on it. Ding repair tape too though is really good. I don't know if you've ever used that stuff. It's like not duct tape, but you kind of. It's this silver reflective tape. They make some that's like really high heat rated and it's really expensive, and then they make this other kind that's like not super high heat rated. It's like a different type of duct tape, and it's called waterproofing tape. And I'll just slap that on a board. If it's like a little hairline crack or whatever, you don't need to go sun cure and sand and all that stuff.
Sure, makes sense. Yeah, that's a good one. I was looking at my phone because I put down some notes, but I think we covered those ones.
Checking the surf before you go is often a good way to figure out if you're going to score or just be picking mussels off the beach and cooking them.
A surf trip can easily turn into a glorified camping trip without waves, so that's kind of a start there and work your way backwards.
But I mean, I was going through editing the podcast and I was listening to that part and I was like, kind of bummed with myself. I was like, man, like Justin was just going out there with no surf forecast. Like what does that matter? Like just going out and finding waves sometimes. And I'm sure everyone listening to this who surfs has been talked out of a good surf session by Surfline. And then they see photos or hear you should have been here yesterday. Yep. So
absolutely,
get after it. Check it. Even if it doesn't sound like it's going to be good, sometimes you might go down there and you might find some little nook or cranny that's turned on or the wind's perfect for it, even though everywhere else is blown out. I mean, there's a lot of waves down in Mexico and Central California that kind of do that. So
totally. Yeah.
Just don't stop exploring.
Yeah, and that's cool too. Like especially if you're going down to Baja in Mexico. Like one thing I learned personally, I'm not going to blow this spot up because I just found this.
Don't name spots.
We'll never name a spot, especially in Mexico because it's still kind of like the final frontier in my eyes. But a lot of it's crazy. You go like 50 miles south, 60 miles south, it gets like real, like you're back 100 years, it feels like almost. Like there's nothing out there. But if this probably applies to a lot of other areas too, but especially like northern Baja, a lot of those surf breaks that you'll find are in like remote fishing villages. And what I've done kind of goes back to the whole mussel picking thing off the rocks is I've showed up to these surf surf spots and like set up camp and surfed and everything like that. And the fishermen go out at like 5 a.m., 4 a.m. every morning, and they're back by like 10 or 11 at the latest because they're taking their fish to the market. If you wave them down, because you'll take into consideration where you're actually surfing, but if you're far enough south, like they're hard to miss you. Like they're hard to miss. There's not a lot of people out there. But if you wave these fishermen down as they're like packing up their truck ready to go to the fish market, they'll sell you like more fish than you could eat for $3. So that's a good hack too. And there's nothing cooler than, especially if your friends don't know about it or whatever, you show up to a spot and then you wave down a local fisherman, buy some fish. You're the goat for the trip for sure.
Get some fresh tuna that you could never target them from shore, or not. You'd have to get insanely lucky, but those guys might have
totally
tuna, yellowtail, yellowfin, whatever. They might hook you up with some poke or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another good one is like kind of using. That's actually a good point. Is wherever you're going for your surf trip is like utilize the resources around you. So if I'm going up to Oregon, like we talked about, like I'm bringing my fishing pole and I'm picking mussels and maybe a crab pot. Who knows? But I'm going to Mexico. I'm bringing maybe $60 cash, and that's about it. So it varies.
Another good one is, and piggybacking off that, is respect the locals.
Big time.
They've put in the time. They live there. Don't just, don't blow the spot up. Mm-hmm. Don't be a dick. Don't be an ass. Like, don't be mean to anybody. Don't wait your turn in the lineup. Be really respectful. It goes a super long ways. If you paddle out by yourself or with a limited number of people, you wait till it's definitely your turn. Mm-hmm. Like, you've been waiting, like everybody's gotten 2 or 3 waves, and then you finally like go for one that nobody's really looking at, or they're too deep. Come back out, or maybe you've been waiting longer and somebody starts to go and it's all yours, bud.
Yeah.
Like, that goes a super long way in a lineup.
Mm-hmm.
If you just start taking waves like you're entitled to them, everybody is going to, like, you have a target on your back at that point.
Yeah, big time.
So,
yeah.
Most experienced people would know to do that, but if you're newer to surfing and you're thinking about making your first surf trip, definitely respect the locals. Don't take too many waves that, they've kind of put in the time, and you're kind of, it's a limit. Waves are a limited resource. Mm-hmm. And I don't think locals should keep people from surfing, but I think people who are surfing somewhere where they didn't grow up, and where these locals, that's a resource they have, and they can't travel as easily or as freely as you, especially in Mexico. Mm-hmm. So make sure to give way to them and show proper respect when you're down there.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a good point.
Yeah, and interacting with federales or any of the Mexican police, like, show some respect. It'll go a long ways. If you start chirping back and making a scene, that's when you start to run into trouble, and you'll probably get extorted. So
totally. Yeah, it's happened to me. It's happened to like a lot of people I've talked to. But going back to the article that I wrote, there's like a super long story in there of me getting actually like stopped and robbed, and there's like a lot of really good lessons in that story, that just things to avoid that people don't realize. It's like in Mexico especially, I feel like the people are not the concern. It's literally the nicest group of people I've ever encountered, the most like hospitable, and as far as like help, like trustworthy, and they'll help you when you're in a pinch. Like, I've had people jump me, pull my car out of ditches, all this stuff. But it's the cops that's really kind of what you got to worry about. And it sucks to say, and I'm sure the majority of the cops down there are good, but it's a kind of known thing, especially if you're coming down with California, Washington, Oregon plates, or Arizona plates, or whatever you got. It's kind of a target. Driving at night's probably not the best move. I would definitely, if we're talking Mexico, like quick ones, definitely take your credit cards out of your wallet. Definitely take your debit cards out of your wallet. I've heard stories of people having a cop take them to the ATM. A cop literally tried to take me to the ATM once. And then just, it happens all the time, dude. Just have $20 in your wallet. It's kind of it's like my fail safe. If I'm ever in a bad situation, I can just literally hand someone my wallet and just be like, take it. I have, like, that's all I got. I've
only been robbed by cops down there too.
Yeah. I mean, nobody's ever even been rude to me, honestly, now that I can think about it, but.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, I guess the get out of jail free card is I am the jail, but.
Yeah, but they've also, like, it's just, they want some quick cash. They know they can do it with impunity if you don't, cause a scene or pull out your phone or do anything to really cause too much drama for them. They'll generally accept $20 and
and that's an expensive one in my opinion. Like, I have my family friend Ceci. She grew up in Tijuana, and she was kind of because I started going down there when I was 16. She was the only one that I was like a stubborn kid. So like my parents were like, just listen to what she has to say, be safe. And one of the things she told me is like, if a cop ever stops you, just as long as you're actually doing nothing wrong, like they're just trying to pay for their lunch or their dinner or get a coffee. Like, you don't have to believe them when they say they want $500.
Oh no,
they'll walk away with 10. So it's having that in the back of your mind is because they will try to scare you. It's just kind of having that. I know what they want. they just got to play the game a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one thing to say it. Being in that situation is a little bit different, but Mexico, man. If you're in a different area, like you're in the PNW or something like that, you're thinking to go to Canada or you're on the East Coast, obviously this is like a way out of your wheelhouse that you don't have to worry about, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to prepare. And I think a lot of our listeners and followers we've probably got a good chunk of people from San Diego that are thinking about making their trip, or they made it, but maybe they haven't thought of one of these things or experienced it. So
totally.
I wanted to put a few things on your guys' radar. Mm-hmm. So we hope you enjoy the tips we've come up with. And that's the pod.
Till next time. Later, guys.